Jake Paul, guys. I mean, look, there's a lot on this. There's a lot. Where do you want to start to unpack this? Now, I beg Jake Paul. I beg Jake Paul who listens to me. He must not respect enough what I have to say. He hears it, though. He shared that with me. Hey, I listened to everything. I begged him, Jake, don't do the Tommy Fury thing. Not only does Tommy not want that fight, neither does the community of boxing. They're setting you up. They're setting you up because they, the community, are just as scared as the boys in the locker room that you're as good as you're saying you are. And the community does not want to have to accept that an outsider who did not start this as a second generation the day he came out of the womb can be a main event and a box office draw. They just don't want to. They're going to talk you into Tommy Fury. And the second you say yes, they're going to start tearing you down so that your loss looks magnificent and your victory looks small. I begged him. He went after Tommy anyway. Okay. Tommy does what we promised would happen. We promised this. These aren't guesses, guys. You'll never meet a mind in the sport like me. The only one that could go head-to-head with me is Google. Nobody could tell you the history of the sport. I'll tell you how Jack Johnson's first fight was. I'll tell you who his 10th fight was. I'll tell you how we round in the 5th round, and I'll tell you what arena it was in. Well, you're turning to your granddad saying, who's Jack Johnson? You don't go head-to-head with me. These aren't always opinions. I understand these things. Now, Top Ramen Jr. tried to pull a scumbag move. That's on him. That's his strategy. Some people aren't going to like it. I don't like any time you don't honor your deal. Jake has agreed to pay you. He's agreed to put you at Madison Square Garden. He agreed to put you on top of a bill. He has control over all three of those things. You think on fight night he's going to say we're the first fight of the night, we're going up at 7 o'clock just because he has the power? It's very relevant. Top Ramen agreed that he was going to come in at 210 pounds on fight night. He's going to weigh in the day before at 200. On fight night, he's going to weigh 210. Now, fight night, when you report to the ring, he's got 7-8 hours. He can get as big as he wants, but this is what they agreed to. And it was very serious and it was very important to Jake. Jake was taking this on short notice. Top Ramen was a lot harder opponent than he wanted, but a lot bigger opponent than he wanted. He agreed to it anyway. Here's his conditions, which were agreed to. Now, this was going to represent the single greatest media opportunity that Ramen ever got. It was going to represent the single biggest opportunity he's ever going to get unless he defeats Jake and could get a rematch. It's going to represent the biggest paycheck that he's ever seen and that he ever will see. I know we don't like to talk about money, guys. I know that makes things uncomfortable. But when you're fighting for prize, when your resume and your education isn't beautiful, when you haven't interned at the right companies, you don't have the right connections, it's a pretty big deal. Particularly if you're going to have a family and this is your role, you go find some money. Overnight success guy's going to be a millionaire. Now, turns out the New York State Athletic Commission, which none of us were revealed. None of us were revealed this information. It turns out that New York is going to monitor Top Ramen's weight. It turned out that he weighed 216 pounds the day this fight was signed, of which gave him it was 25, 26 days, a little bit less than a month to make weight, down to 200. Now, put that in perspective for you, just so you understand. Not shining my own wheels, I'm just putting myself in here because I know. If I weigh 216 pounds, and I'm hydrated, I get a phone call, I'm 216 pounds. To get down to 200 pounds, I would love 5 hours. If I didn't, I got to do it right now. I would have that done in 3. I'd love 5. He had a month. Now, he doesn't understand the game, and he's not as mentally tough or as disciplined as yours truly. That's just fair. But he still knows how to get weight off. So he weighs 260 pounds. The day the fight is signed, New York comes in and wants to check up on him. He weighs a little more than 215. He did not lose an entire pound. Now, he was told by New York, and he was on a descension plan. He knew they were coming, and he knew what he needed to weigh. He had not lost an entire pound. So New York says, we're not going to sanction this fight at 200. Not with 1 week to go. We're not going to let you lose 7.5% of your body weight. We will do this fight if it's at 205 pounds. I don't know why they came to that conclusion. I really don't, because that weight, it's not, but they did. So Jake Paul says, Fine. I don't like it. 205 pounds it is. It then and only then gets revealed to us from Top Ramen's own camp that he was going to double-cross Jake from Jump Street. He was going to come in at 250. He was never going to make the 200 pounds, and he wasn't going to make the 210 pounds. He was going to weigh in at 215 pounds. Now, there is an ability to do that. Is there an ability to then get that sanctioned? We'd have to look further. But there was ability to do that. There was going to be a financial burden. You were going to leave there with no money. And my guess, by the way, that's the way it's being reported right now. My guess is that he was going to come in, he was going to miss the weight. They were going to find him, he wasn't get the money. And then and only then, when the house is sold and the popcorn's being popped, is when he reveals to them, honor my purse or I don't walk through the curtain. Now that is a trick that has been pulled many, many times, where a fighter will agree to something and never pull out. They will show up in all sorts of violation and they will tell the promoter, you put this in my hand right now or I don't walk through the curtain. You go in there and you tell this sold out arena, you tell your pay-per-view audience that you couldn't produce the main event when I'm standing right here, or pay me. Now, I know you guys haven't heard those stories. I'm telling you now, that trick is as old as the day is long. And I predict for you, that's what Ramen was going to do. Either way, that is a very dirty move. And Ramen has now cost the entire card. They have canceled the entire show. Everybody is going to get hurt. The promoters have lost. This is millions of dollars. I know the fans are thinking about the fighters and the guy that really needed that. How's this guy going to pay his rent next month? Look, those are all really fair questions. But there's other people that are involved, whether they're big brother that you think it doesn't matter or not. They've lost millions of dollars. It's gone. Can't recoup it. You can't get it back. Now, I must share for you. To watch the boxing community as scared of Jake Paul as they are, you see now why Jake turned to MMA guys. This thing is canceled. Jake could have called Tyron Woodley, and Tyron would have gone and done a third fight, just so you understand. He could have called Ben Askren, and he would have gone and done a third fight. I don't want to get into how much you guys wanted to see it. I'm just sharing the significant difference. And when you look back at the disappointment that all of us had, when Dana White, who was thinking about getting into boxing, came out and said, I can't fix it, this thing is a mess, and I'm not moving forward, you now see the mess. I'm sure boxing events have been canceled. I'm sure you've heard of a smoker or something down at the YMCA, the track, or the dog park that the plug got pulled. I haven't. In my life, I have never seen a main event fall apart. I've spoke to this to nauseam. Because in MMA, we have guys that call in sick all the time. Guys that miss cards all the time. They don't make that walk for whatever reason. And I've told you, that is a MMA phenomenon. The sport of boxing doesn't have that. You will not find a main event in the history of boxing that has pulled out. Good news for boxing, bad news for boxing. There's no such thing as a boxing card. There's no such thing as a night of fights. There's a match. So when you lose that match, you're screwed. You're really stuck. If Ramen or his team, this is a whole team effort. I mean, the whole team thought that this was a good idea. The whole team knew New York was coming in. The whole team knows however they were going to shake this down and what they were going to do to Paul at the last minute. If that team thinks that somehow you can put a Band-Aid on this and $1 million payday is going to be out there, they're wrong. There's not a promoter out there or an honest businessman of any level that's ever going to get into bed with you again. Your days of main events are done. If you had a main event coming up, it is now gone. If you had another $1 million come to you, it's gone. No one's going to do business with somebody that pulls that. Doesn't matter if you pull it on their competitor. You go double-cross Coca-Cola, PepsiCo doesn't sign you. You go crash the Chevy into the wall, Ford doesn't go, that's our guy. So Ramen Jr. that has a financial obligation at a minimum to himself, I don't know his personal life, at a minimum he has it to himself, has blown his entire career. He has blown his entire reputation. I went down a hole of watching Rahman Jr. not long after this fight was signed. I was blown away. I thought he was very good. The things I was hearing and who Jake Paul's going to pick as an opponent, and it's another easy fight. I said, man, this one's not an easy fight. Guy weighs 216. He's got to get to 210 a month out. Didn't know he had this event coming up, so he's not even in shape. He gets to come 210 fight. Like, this weight isn't even an issue. I respect and understand why Jake did it. He took a little bit level of precaution, but he followed the golden rule, which is the show must go on, and he tried to keep the show going. But how many times are you going to do business with dirtbags? You answer the question. I'm not here to answer it. You tell me a time in boxing history that an event has been canceled because somebody in the main event pulled out for any reason. I haven't seen it before. The boxing community is deathly scared of Jake Paul. But boxing fans and supporters should be fully behind him. He is the hero of this story. He is the white knight in shiny armor. He is the one who came forward. And the community that doesn't have control of themselves, the boys in the back can't get control of this one guy. This one guy is going to ruin it for everybody. Nobody has a problem with that. Nobody's going to complain. They think that was okay or they understand it. You guys do with that what you want. Just lost a show. Just lost an opportunity. 3 months prior, we lost a whole entire organization that Dana White was going to put tens of millions of dollars in. And now you see why.